You're listening to Speaking Stellar Girl with Teri an interview series that inspires women to live their most stellar life. Teri is the co-founder of the Stellar Girl movement, and she is sitting down with women all over the world to hear about the key moments in their lives and how they live boldly, compassionately, and ultimately became a stellar girl.
So welcome to Speaking Stellar Girl. I am your host, Teri, and I am thrilled to have Brittany Franklin join me today. From a young age, Brittany's personal mantra has been do things better and bigger than yourself. She has overcome many hardships from her parents' divorce, her mother's addiction, father's depression, and so much more. With 10 plus experience years working in the oil and gas industry, paired with running a multi-million-dollar charity, Brittany understands what it's like to hold a challenging career while still pursuing her passion and following her gut reaction to do more. Brittany is the CEO of Sky High for Kids, and I am so thrilled to be chatting with you today. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor, Teri. Thank you so much.
So let's talk a little bit more about you. Give us a little background for our listeners, because my introduction was short and brief, and I want to hear a little bit more.
Let's do it. So I was born and raised in South Louisiana on a small crawfish and rice farm. So truth be told, I'm really a tomboy at heart. I still am an avid outdoorsman, including waterfowl hunting and fishing and all of those great things that God has provided for us on the earth. And we raised lambs while being in the crawfish fields, being on the rice fields, and had a pretty good childhood, not understanding that, we were really poor, but we just had everything we needed. And so, unfortunately, my parents did go through a pretty ugly divorce. And so that started parlaying into some serious adversities that I had to overcome in my high school years. So kind of started with their divorce that led to my dad's kind of depression and still battle with PTSD from an earlier helicopter crash that left him with a broken back. And so my mom was in drug rehab for my entire senior year of high school. And to top that all off, our house burned to the ground right before I graduated. And it was actually the first night that we spent with her when she came back home from rehab. And so not that, everybody wants to know a long sob story. It has really helped shape who I am today. And it's been part of my building blocks. But my, early years, like I said, farm life was amazing. And I could not, say enough about how proud I am in terms of the way I was raised with work ethic and responsibility of taking care of animals. And I had a summer job at 13 years old and really never stopped working since then. But, went through some trials and tribulations later on, but that really toughened me up and got me ready for adult life much earlier, I think, than for a lot of other people. And so I went to University of Louisiana at Lafayette and held 2 and 3 jobs at a time because I paid my own tuition through college. Really proud to say I never got a student loan, and I worked at Edie's restaurants primarily, and we served the best honey biscuits in town. And that's really part of the story of how Sky High for Kids came to be. I visited St. Jude Children's Research Hospital when I was 14 years old as a volunteer. Changed my life. Didn't know now or didn't know then that God had kind of planted the seed. And fast forwarding to college, the same group I volunteered with, Miss Billy Menard, asked if I would help with a fundraiser. At the time, Terry, I was getting ready to apply to law school. I was, working 2 jobs. I mean, it was just crazy. Still had a little bit of residual family stuff going on. But lo and behold, God kind of laid out my path and I listened to him. And so me and several of my girlfriends in college put together a sporting clay tournament of any fundraiser you could pick. We did primarily what guys do. And we hosted a sporting clay tournament, which ended up being wildly successful. And we raised gross revenue of $70,000. When the goal was 10. So
wow.
21-year-old girls in Lafayette, Louisiana, putting on this tournament. And, coincidentally enough, the oil and gas industries who supported that tournament primarily ended up getting a job opportunity to move to Houston. And that really redirected my focus, if you will, and led me to open formally a 501c3 called Sky High for Kids. And so I know it's a lot to unpack there, but that's kind of the short story of, where I grew up, how I grew up, again, the obstacles I had to overcome as a young adult, and, really getting the courage to pack my U-Haul and move to Houston, Texas, with knowing no one here and starting a job in oil and gas in which I had no business really being in. I had zero experience, but I was able to sell my work ethic, if you will, and determination to never give up on the task at hand, which in light, it allowed me to start my nonprofit. If I'd have said no to the job opportunity, I'd have gone to law school, which would have been a great thing, but
Sure.
I would have never, followed my calling to, really try to end childhood cancer. And so God laid out this plan, and I finally listened to what his sign was, right? We're not really sure sometimes what the sign is, or maybe we don't want to really listen to the sign because it's not what we want to hear. I think I wanted to hear law school, and I had a dream of moving to New York and being rich and driving a Mercedes. I mean, what you saw on TV growing up. But instead, God had a totally different plan for me. And so being able to start my career in oil and gas allowed me to work at night on the nonprofit. And so there's a long story about where we are now, but that's the short of kind of who I am and where I come from.
Well, that is definitely the stellar mindset. I mean, the way that you championed your own life, you followed your passion with resilience, determination, and you love what you do. And I really want to dive into Sky High for Kids, because I would love to talk about and discuss your $40 million commitment to the Texas Children's Cancer Center and for St. Jude's. So can you tell me about that pledge?
Yes. So we are extremely excited to really be one of the youngest and smallest nonprofits in the country to step really out of our comfort zone here and pledge such a large amount of money. But the reason we're doing is because if we don't go big and we're not bold and we don't kind of live on the edge, we're not going to make a true dent in the childhood cancer statistics, in our lifetime. And that's our plan. Our vision is to end childhood cancer, but we have to do things to progress that. We pledged $20 million to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and we're the first donor to the Advanced Research Center, which will open this year in 2021. It is the largest research center in the world at 625,000 square feet. We will be on the second floor, and so will our community and donors and volunteers. And we will be backing some research that is going to outlive all of us and is really going to move the survival rate needle forward in our lifetime. If you think about what Danny Thomas did in 1962, and over the past 65 years, they've taken childhood leukemia, which is the most common form of childhood cancer, from 4% survival rate to 94% survival rate. So think about that lifetime that Danny Thomas led. I mean, that's an unbelievable accomplishment.
Yes.
So we believe if we invest in some of the research out there that doesn't receive a ton of, dollars, if you will, so they can put forth the efforts to do these clinical trials and do the research and then come up with the better treatments and cures, who will. So we're really excited about that pledge. The laboratory or the research center opens this year. So even through COVID, they never stopped construction, which is remarkable. Texas Children's Cancer Center, we opened the first ever immunotherapy center for pediatrics in the country. Wow. It's right here in Houston, Texas. And last year alone, we opened the floor in March, and they have already serviced 650 patients.
That is incredible.
I know. Think about that impact that all of our community is making, right? And in addition to that, we went global, Teri. We supported and are supporting the education and training of in-country students to become nurses, to become the first pediatric oncologist, to become the first brain tumor specialist in Malawi, Uganda, and Botswana through the Global Hope program. It's sometimes I lay down and I'm like, was I in Uganda last year? I mean, that happened. Yeah. And the statistics there are wild. 100,000 children are diagnosed and 90,000 children die because they do not have the resources, the technology, the drugs, the equipment and they don't have the doctors. So Texas Children's Cancer Center said, hey, time out. We tackled, or we progressed the positivity and the outcomes of saving lives in the AIDS, pediatric AIDS epidemic. Why not tackle childhood cancer now? So that's what they're doing. They're bringing resources and their knowledge to sub-Saharan Africa. And we became the second donor to Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation. And so we're super excited. And we serviced over 8,000 children last year. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Mind blowing. That's mind blowing. It's incredible. I mean, you mentioned the word bold, and then you mentioned go big. Like that is exactly like what we all need to do as women, as companies, as in our lives. Like we just, don't think small.
No.
Think big and look at everything that you've accomplished. Like this is learning about what Sky High for Kids is all about. There's a place in my heart. Like that is just incredible.
Thank you.
That's a stellar girl right there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, Teri, what it is, there's a huge light on adult cancers. It's understandable. I mean, the numbers are astronomical. But the reality is childhood cancer is the #1 cause of death for our children in this country. The #1 cause. I mean, it outranks any other disease out there or any other ailment. And so there's just not enough, discussions around it. There's not enough marketing in terms of educating the public. And so we are on the streets bringing this information to the community so they can get behind the childhood cancer movement, if you will, before it happens to their family. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of parents we work with that say, I would have never imagined in a million years watching all those St. Jude commercials in my lifetime that it would be my family next. And so about 17,000 kids a year in the US are diagnosed. And, thank goodness we have so many dedicated facilities like Texas Children's Cancer Center and St. Jude and so many others that are ready, willing, and more than, passionate about saving these kids. And for us, we want to give them the future they deserve. These are our children.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so, yeah.
So let's talk about you had your top 5 core business mantras, and one of them is to have fun while you're doing what you're doing. Expand on that, and what are the other 4?
Yeah, so my big one is do not assume. I really invite questions.
Good.
I prefer for any of our staffers, volunteers, anyone to just ask questions before you assume, right? We can make big mistakes, just from an assumption. So it's don't assume. Be proactive. I'm a big believer, and it's expectation in my company that you are getting ahead of the game as much as you can, and looking at these opportunities that may be able to stick, right? Spaghetti noodles on the wall. You might put in some work and it doesn't pan out, but you learn from that, right?
Absolutely.
So being proactive, paying attention to detail. It's important that what we do produce to the public is, all I's are dotted and T's are crossed as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, there's a word that I just don't like, and it's no. I just like, you can ask my team. When someone says, well, Brittany, no, we can't do that. I'm like, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I'm like, no. Yep. We're going to find a solution. And 99.9% of the time, if you just step back, take some time, do some research, talk to people, you can find a solution, and the answer isn't no. And so that's a big one for me. I believe in the answer is always no unless you ask, right? So, and then it's have fun, like we talked about. I mean, our work is very hard. Working here is not easy, whether it's the emotional aspect of the children that we do unfortunately lose to this battle, the families we get close to, or, to be honest, Teri, we raise money the hard way. We host over 12 special events a year across the state of Texas and Louisiana, including going all the way to Pennsylvania this summer. And so the logistics and the amount of boots on the ground, right, and leadership that is required to, give the public an unforgettable experience and allow them to be very, see, touch, and feel of our mission is hard work. Weekends, nights, committee members, personalities, trailers, and
There's
So
a lot.
if we don't have fun, well, you're going to get burnt out pretty quickly, right?
Yep. And it's and we all know how to have fun. We need a little more fun in our lives. We need more joy in our lives. That's what this movement's about. That's what this community is about. So let's talk about the community, your community of women. Like, who inspires you? Is it your best friends? It's your colleagues? It's your who inspires you?
Well, there's a long list, but I am proud to say that I've surrounded myself around really hardworking, core value, minded and committed women in the community that are either, taking care of their kids, right? And they are moms, or, majority of our group are career women, right? Either they run businesses, or they lead teams, or they're philanthropists. And so, one comes to mind in particular, Crystal Mathus, who started her own promotional products company when she was 26. I remember sitting on the floor and she showed me the first glove that she was going to go sell to oil field companies in Lafayette, and now has a unbelievably successful nationwide promotional products company. And I cannot tell you that I, have experienced someone that has worked harder than Crystal. I mean, like, I don't think she sleeps. I don't think any of us really sleep, but there's just a very amazing group of women that I'm surrounded by. We primarily run a female, company here, and we have some young, very talented, dedicated, passionate, and eager to learn and grow, both personally and in their careers, and to grow our mission here at Sky High. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal to sit back and think, oh my gosh, I remember 10 years ago when I was, that 25 or 26-year-old that was really getting in the groove with my career. And so we believe in uplifting everyone and pushing each other. I will say that we push each other probably a little too hard at times. I'm kind of known in my friend group to be the brutally honest one.
That's okay. You have to set that bar high. There has to be a sense of urgency in what you do. You don't have the time to get things done. You got to get them done. Yeah,
you have to. And I mean, tomorrow night, on a Saturday night, I'm cooking a gumbo. And yeah, girl, big old gumbo. It's getting cold in Houston. And I have 8 women coming over.
Okay.
And we are having a roundtable 2021 goals discussion.
Okay.
So there's one thing to create your goals by yourself, right?
Of course.
You're inspired by others to create all these goals. And it's another thing to then discuss it with your peers to receive some experience shares. If you may have the same goal, you would have had the same goal last year or something. I cannot wait until tomorrow night, because we're going to put up some sticky notes on the walls, and we're just going to go through like each person's goals in each section. And we're going to talk about how we can maybe help each other.
Absolutely. And hold them accountable when they say them out loud to somebody else.
Yes. I listened to a Craig Rochelle podcast. If you haven't listened to Craig, he's amazing, faith-based, unbelievable leadership podcast. He puts out
writing it down.
Yeah. Craig Rochelle leadership podcast. The best. You know what he said? Statistically proven. If you write down your goals, 62% chance of achieving them. If you tell a friend, it's like over 75% that you'll achieve them. If you just, say, oh, I'm going to do this, or I dream of this, and you never put the pen to the paper, or you don't create a plan to then achieve it, it doesn't get done, most of the time. So I'm excited. We wrote them down. Now we're going to tell each other.
And then execute.
And then execute.
And then execute. Yes. So, okay. You're so busy. I can't live in your brain. I have 4 kids, but this is what you do is incredible.
4 kids?
Yes.
Terry, that's amazing.
It's fun. Oh my gosh, that's fun. That's fun. But so you need to find some time for Brittany. You need to find some self-love, self-care. Because we talk about having a healthy lifestyle. So what do you, especially this past year, we've all had to, pivot and shift and work out at home, or go on more walks, or whatever it may be. What do you do to take care of you, your mind, your body, your soul? What do you do?
So that is probably the area that I need to work the most on, to be honest, but made a commitment to go to Orange Theory and work out 4 days a week. And I've been doing it for 4 solid months. And it is truly, it's become my stress reliever.
Yes.
It allows my brain to finally slow down and only focus on what's right in front of me. And that's either the rowing machine, the
Yes.
treadmill, or some weights, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm not thinking about the 85 million action items. And so that for me works really well. And I do enjoy my reflection time that I have included in my day, whether it is in the morning or at night. I read for 20 minutes. I have a cup of coffee or a big glass of water, and I just take time to reflect on my own. I read my Bible verse. I may listen to a podcast. And so I've really, really worked hard on implementing that into my daily routine.
Okay.
And sometimes it's fast and furious and I have to do it while I'm curling my hair, right? But that's just part of it. I am proud of myself for that. I really do lack in that department. I feel like
going 4 times a week is huge.
I really try. I like to go at like 6 in the morning. That way my whole day is
free. Yes.
But,
yes. They have strength, power, and endurance. Which is your favorite, ESP or which one?
Well, I get on the rower first because it's my least favorite.
Yes. Okay. Get it over with.
I'm the strength. I love to be on the floor. So that's my favorite part of the workout, but I really enjoy it. I've gotten stronger. I feel better. And it's just good for me I have to de-stress. And
yes.
I love that you have 4 kids. I'm 36 and just going down that path, or, trying to, hopefully God will bless us with a baby. And so I need to get healthy and I need to de-stress, it's always something going on. But so that right now is what I do. But a facial would be nice, maybe a massage. I do that like once a year, girl.
Yeah. When we have a second, we have quick Pete. So you just got married.
You just get married.
You just got married. So tell me about the wedding. Like, fun did you have? It was during the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah. So listen to this. So we get engaged, about 8 or 9 months into our relationship, and we plan our wedding for March. And of course,
March.
The week of the shutdowns is our wedding, March 20th.
Oh,
so
my.
Terry, 72 hours before our wedding, everything shut down. And I mean, we had probably 300 people coming from all over the country to my hometown of Abbeville, Louisiana, because I was really determined to get married in my Catholic church.
Okay.
With my hometown priest. And it was all shut down. So, by the grace of God, Taylor Sass, my best friend, got in touch with the county judge, and we ended up going to the courthouse. And this was really cute, although a little eerie and not the way that you really dream about getting married, because nobody was in the courthouse. It was very quiet. A lot of people in my husband's community of Lake Jackson, Texas, that were coming to the wedding, dressed up in black tie. And when we came down the road in our car, they were standing in front of their driveways and had signs made and did toast. And we had video of it, and it got picked up on Channel 13 News.
That's great.
Yeah, but awesome. I will say, even though through the pandemic, we did just have our wedding on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
75 of our closest family and friends at my church, and it was perfect. If I could advise any new brides out there, it's hard because you feel like you need to invite everybody that is in your life, my board members, my staff, my husband's friends. It's just the list just grows and grows and grows. If we'd had a 300-person wedding, that's hosting a sky high fundraiser.
Right. Pretty much.
And I don't even get to see half the people at my own fundraiser. So I'm like, how in the world would we have been able to even navigate through that many guests? So I am really in my heart happy that it happened that way, because the 75 people that were able to be there, we got to spend time with. So smaller is better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good advice. Absolutely. So I have one last question before we wrap things up, because I feel like I want to go work out. I want to go join something. I need to go. I'm so motivated and inspired right now. I'm like, wow, this energy through a screen that I feel from you is exceptional. And I thank you truly for that, because I needed that this morning. So thank you for that energy and that spirit. I love it. I love it. So let's just talk one last question about how, I know that you said that the construction kept going during the pandemic, that you still were able to build, do the offices and continue your work. How did the pandemic and what does it look like in 2021 for you and your team? What does that look like right now?
So right out of the gates, when everything shut down, we immediately created what we called our 4-week short-term plan. So we thought this thing would be 4 weeks and then we'd be back to normal.
Right.
Lo and behold, we're over a year now. So the 4-week plan included our first virtual gala.
Okay.
Went off without a hitch. So proud of my team. But we also knew and realized that is not, that's just not sustainable, and it will not support what we've committed to.
Okay.
So we continued to extend the plan. We implemented a few new campaigns. And then as soon as the CDC allowed for, or the state allowed for certain businesses to have a certain capacity, we created the most stringent safety protocols that any company could implement. Okay. When you entered our event space, whether indoor or outdoor, mask was required. Went through a clear to work facial scanner to check your temperature. You received a wristband. You received a hand sanitizer, a new mask. You signed a liability waiver, and then we politely asked you to social distance. And we honestly put a lot of people directly at their tables, had the beverages there. So we eliminated bar lines. Okay. And so Teri, we just implemented a plan that would still allow people who felt comfortable being out in a crowd, so we could continue our mission, because kids are still getting diagnosed with cancer every day, and it worked. We hosted 5 300-person capacity events in 12 weeks last year and raised $2.8 million. Okay. Now, keep in mind, Teri, the year before we raised $6.8 million and had 12 events. So a big difference.
But still,
we
kept it going.
We kept it going. We weren't going to give up. We just weren't going to give up. Nothing was going to stop us. And so this year we have a target of 4.9 million. We are smart, and we're allowing for the vaccine to be distributed. Hopefully, as many people that want or are required to get vaccinated, that is great. So we're going to kick off the fundraising events in June. Okay. For the first half of the year, we're doing a lot of heavy lifting, and we're focusing, and we're getting more efficient, and we're spending more time with our donors one-on-one on the phone, Zoom, if they're comfortable having coffee. And so we're building relationships, we're getting people back into Sky High. And then we're going to kick off in June, host 7+ events, and hopefully bring in that $4.9 million goal. So that's incredible. 2021 looks really good for us. I mean, the mindset is there. Good. The Sky High never stops. It's in everyone's world. And then we're also allowing for grace to get through, the fear of COVID. I mean, it's very real. It is. So I recognize that. But I am that person that if we're going to lead in terms of the amount of dollars we're going to raise to support these massive projects that are going to push the survival rate needle forward, and we're going to lead in the nonprofit industry in getting back into the community. That's kind of how I feel. So we're not going to live in fear, but we're going to be safe.
Absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, it has been a pleasure. And I love the name of your company, Sky High, because there's no limit. There's no limit in what you can do. There's no limit in what Brittany Franklin can do. There is no more limits. You have overcame so many obstacles. You have created this multi-million-dollar organization and charity that is just so near and dear to your heart. And I feel your passion and I feel your energy. And that's a stellar mindset right there. And Brittany, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us all today. I so appreciate you coming on and speaking Stellar Girl, because everything that has come out of your mouth this today has been stellar. You have spoken all of our words, and thank you so much for that. I really, truly appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Teri, and thank you for, creating a platform for so many women across the world. I mean, we need leaders like you to allow us to tell our stories and to motivate us to not give up, And so I'm honored, Sky High is honored, and thank you for being you and for creating Stellar Girl.
Well, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Teri.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of new episodes. To learn more about the Stellar Girl movement, please visit us at stellargirl.com.